This is the Rushfield Lunch with the great Tom Segura and Jeremy Konner, the mad geniuses behind bad things. And we will formally begin this conversation. Let's just talk about what people are. What's a typical lunch for you guys? What are you eating today? What do you typically eat for your
I
lunch?
was a really good boy for lunch today.
Really?
I had I had, I had about 8 ounces of grilled chicken, sliced tomato, and sliced avocado. It was really a big win.
Wow, you're that's a example for both of it. Jeremy, your sister is here. You
Oh wow! Hi,
just said hello. Hi, Jenny. Good to
hi
see
Jen.
you.
Um,
Okay, we're gonna wait another
I enjoy
30.
like a miso salmon bowl is a real is
Miso,
a
Jesus
I
Christ.
like if I'm ordering like if we're in a writer's room I'll get
A
that's a
miso
that's
salmon ball.
a classic order. But like for today I'll probably just like eat whatever like some
Is there some kind
leftovers
of
and
like inverse ratio to like the more inappropriate the comedy, the healthier the lunch
Oh
has to
wow,
be?
Jeremy, your sister just said that she loves me. That's awesome.
whoa
Hi, Jenny. I love you too.
whoa hey
Wow.
come on man, what's going on here?
This is breaking. That's on the record, Jenny. So
Yep,
you're
I
you're
love you too,
you're
Jenny.
you're out there with that.
You
Uh,
guys, should I go? Is
love is
this
Yeah,
all
it's fine.
love is all around here. Okay, let's
all
make this
right?
official. Let's officially convene this discussion here. This is the Rushfield Lunch here at the Ankler. I am very pleased today with having the minds behind new show on Netflix, Bad Thoughts. Great comedian Tom Segura, the great comedy television director Jeremy Konner. Um, just to clear the air here and make things official, Jeremy, how old were you when I met you? Your sister would have been in seventh grade then.
I
What?
was I was a very young guy. I don't know. I was
4 years
five,
old, 5 years old.
4. Yeah, I
So
probably met you. Yeah.
I've known you since you were 4 or 5. I've seen you come up, and I've seen you create this amazing accomplishment for Netflix here. And I just have to say, what the hell is wrong with you? What? Such a nice
uh,
boy, and you and this is. I was trying to describe to my family the show last night. I have a 11-year-old daughter, and talking to my wife here, and what it was about, and I said, well, it's very inappropriate, and
yeah.
they said, how is it inappropriate? Like what sort of things? And I tried to. Well, I was like, well, there's this one sketch where he's in Paris, and there's another one where, and I couldn't even give a PG version description of it. So how did this happen? Bad thoughts. How did this come about? Tell me, tell me
Man,
where.
this is from the mind of Tom Segura. That's I'm Tom, you've been simmering on this baby for years now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, the way it came about truly was that I've always loved short films. Like I feel like they're accessible to make. Like if you go, I want to make a feature, you can do it, but there's obviously it's a much bigger lift, but it feels like you could write, 6, 10 pages and get people together and do it. So a few years ago, I had a break on my tour, and I had like a bunch of short story scripts, and I sent them to my friend Rami Hashash, who's also a EP director on the series, and I was like, "Hey, I have a break on my tour. Let's shoot one of these." And we ended up shooting three, and so we ended up having like a pilot for a show basically, and I was just going to put it on like my website, and a couple of agents saw it and they were like, "Oh, you got to try to sell this." And I was like, "Oh yeah," because it had never occurred to me to try to sell based on the scripts because I thought people would be like, "Yeah, there's no way we're gonna do this."
Get out of our office,
Yeah,
and
yeah, I basically thought that. So when when we actually had it, then you go, well, now you can see it, and so when they saw that, they said, okay, this is kind of crazy, but yeah, you can do 6 episodes of this. So that's how it all kind of started. I think without that pilot, it would have been a much different process. But then it became, they started setting me up with people to meet, like Jeremy. And, once we started working together, we assembled a writer's room. And then it was just kind of like we showed everybody what we had. And then, I brought some more scripts in, and then certain ones also just came out of that writer's room, like just conversations. And yeah, it was a really fun, the writing room was a lot of fun. It was a fun process.
And two of the shorts that were in that original private presentation, versions of those ended up in the show.
Yeah.
There was a third one that we cut out, and if you can believe it, it was because we decided that there were it was had a lot of prosthetic penis, and we figured there was just too much prosthetic penis.
Penis.
There was a
Yeah.
Just
line.
to it.
There was a line for us
Yeah,
where we
that
decided there is a line. Like we had a many
that was
conversations.
one of my questions. Did you, in writing this, was there ever moments where you sort of offended yourself, or you're sort of like, I can't believe I said that. I can't believe this came
Yeah.
out of me. What?
Um, what I think happened more was like you'd write it and you're thinking of it in terms of writing and like directing and producing. And then as we would get closer, I'd be like, oh shit, I have to actually do this. Like you write it almost like in the abstract, like, oh, this is the thing we wrote. But then the idea that you actually have to do it became like, oh yeah, and then Jeremy also tricked me one time. Jeremy is the one who insisted that my pants come off in the first one, and we had a long conversation. I was like, "Oh yeah, but he's got to put his pants back on, right?" And he was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah, yeah." And then we got closer to shooting, and I was like, "Hey, I'm looking at the script. I don't see his pants coming back on." He was like, "No, no, no, I mean, just what we'll just kind of figure it out like as it goes." And I was like, "Oh, okay."
Famous
And
last
then
words there.
I was like, "Oh, he's just never going to put his pants on, right?" He goes, "I think it's funnier." So
That also, there wasn't even supposed to be any pants taking on at
yeah,
all. There was
right.
there was no scatological humor in that first one at all until a couple days before. That was a real last minute
That
curveball I threw at you.
Yeah, it was just going to be a guy kind of like falling apart, for having made this egregious error. And it was just like his kind of breakdown emotionally. And you see like how soft and kind of fragile he is. But yeah, it definitely made it a lot funnier.
So I mean, that's what's so brilliant to me about the show, that you take all these different genres, from the spy film to the Parisian reverie to sort of a feel good film, and you're just like waiting to see, like, how wrong is this going to go, and how bad these very refined genres, and how badly off the rails can this thing go. And every time you take it sort of beyond your beyond our worst expectations there. Was that sort of the goal of how you set up thinking about these things? You create those worlds so brilliantly and
When I saw the
cinematically,
pilot,
if I
when I
might
saw the
say.
pilot presentation, I felt like what you guys had done and what we I think went into the writers' room with was this sort of there is a meta joke happening across the board, which is can I can you even believe that these people are doing this at all? Like, can you believe that they put money and resources and humans all got together and like you know, they all made it look so beautiful and took it so seriously. And that is like a huge part of the joke
I mean,
is
yeah, that the big, one of the, like the big emphasis when we shot the pilot, and then with everyone that we talked to, like even when I first met Jeremy, through all the crew and every actor that we met, we were like, play this like it's Shakespeare, or like you're in, Oppenheimer. Like, you just play this like this is really grounded, serious, because that's also, I think, one of the big comedic notes and feelings of the whole thing is the absurd nature of it, and then playing it like it's really, really real.
Was there any point where Netflix said, we're a broad surface here, but this is too much for
I mean, not really. I mean,
they
they would sometimes, like, they saw a cut of something and they're like, well, that's a little, like, we think that might put people off. It's a little gory or a little, but like, they weren't saying like, hey, cut that out. They're like, can you make that last a few seconds less? And you're like, yeah, sure. Um, as far as notes, I mean, well, we did go through some funny stuff where we would have like a notes call and they were like, yeah, there's no notes really. Like, we're like, what? And then,
what couldn't you say?
yeah, it's like, basically they just said, don't say the N word. And we were like, okay. And then they were like, like, basically, like, no notes. We were like, this doesn't make any sense. And then 2 weeks later, they were like, hey, we have some more notes. And we're like, all right. But I would say, like, they did feel very supportive and collaborative. Like, in the development and experiences and pilots that I've done, I mean, this was, for me, the best experience.
I
I
was
mean, do
very
you think
shocked.
it?
Going into this, they said their one note going into this was go too far and we'll tell you to pull back.
And did that happen?
I mean,
Not really. I mean, maybe like in like a micro suggestion kind of way, but there was never like a hey, 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 no, this is not happening.
Do you think your success, Tom, as a stand-up on Netflix, you prove there's audience for your brand of comedy. Did that give them the trust that uh, this would find an audience and find support there?
I don't. I mean, I'm sure it plays a role in it. I think we all kind of went into it like, who knows, kind of way. Like, I don't know. I don't know how this is gonna land, and um, I was so excited to do it, and I also felt like maybe it played a role in it too. Is I felt very little pressure. Like, I didn't feel like, oh my God, I have to do this or I have to get this right. I just went into it like very excited, enthusiastic to have the opportunity. And you know, they seemed to like sense all of our enthusiasm because we were all just very eager to do it, to make it. And yeah, I mean, I think they thought, they always look at things from like a data and marketing standpoint. They're like, all right, well, we'll try to market this to people who know who you are on the platform. But yeah, I didn't feel like some extra crazy pressure for it or anything.
By the way, too, our guests, our lunch buddies here. If you have any comments, questions, heckles, or whatever, please write, put them in the comments here, and we will attempt to address them or heckle back or respond. Um, this all comes in the context of on the big screen, R-rated comedy and sort of edgy comedy is dead. It not non-existent. On the little screen, it barely exists. Um, do you feel that it is harder to make the first of all, as someone who's kind of been working on those outreach, did you feel that change happen in the last 10 years and the pullback on edgy comedy and why do you think that happened? How how does it uh, how has it expressed itself in your lives and careers?
yeah, I mean, well, I was doing drunk history and I mean, a lot
Yep.
of it was like when I think about Comedy Central and about how incredible that was, and Kent Alterman and sort of how he shepherded. There was a time when we had drunk history on. It was like us and Amy Schumer and Nick Kroll and Daily Show and Colbert and Key and Peele. It was just, and Nathan, for you, it was just like this unbelievable hub of unbelievable comedy coming out of it constantly. And
People are doing all kinds of directions, all kinds of things,
and and that all
um,
sort of that implosion of Comedy Central, I think, killed a huge chunk of where a lot of comedy was coming from, and it sort of scattered it to the the wind. I mean, obviously there was a lot of other stuff happening as well in features, but that was like how it directly was affecting. I was seeing it every day in when I was there, and how it got
Tom, did you
bought.
doing stand up? Did a moment come where you felt like people are afraid to laugh at certain things, or they that
I mean, that kind of
the,
thing you can sometimes sense. I think like crowd audience to audience, like you know, what I mean, not in a broad sense. You can just go like you're in a certain room, and that audience feels that type of way. But I never felt like it was across the board. I think a lot of audiences kind of looked at stand up and like clubs as sort of the last place where you always kind of felt like they were seeking it out, actually, like for somebody to push it and go for it. Like I even when people were saying, oh my god, everybody is scared to cross lines or push boundaries and laugh, you would go to clubs and you'd see a comedian on stage like really go for a hard swing at a joke, and you'd still sense that release in the club of like, oh, they were like, oh, feels good that they're going for it. I do think that like it's pretty notable if you look at the feature world that it's kind of clear that studios stopped investing in them. And then, if you want to be just straightforward about it, the few that did kind of come out, sometimes I mean, they just weren't good. So then
yeah.
you'd have like a couple bad ones come out, and that would just, I think, reinforce to those studios, hey, this is not a worthwhile investment. But I do think if you make like it's a really great story and it's funny, like a really go for it comedy, I just think that audiences would still respond to that.
So do you think it's that society became humorless, or do you think it's the
No,
institutions that became afraid of?
I think it's much more that I think people still love comedy. Um, you can dissect it, I think, a lot of ways. If you look at like the explosion of horror in the feature world and its success, it's like they realized from a financial place that you could make um, good horror films for like 5 million
Yeah.
and really hit a home run. And I think for the most part they just stopped taking that swing with comedies. But I don't think it's because audiences don't want them. I just think that they really stopped making them. But I also think we're going to see more of those come back. I think you're going to
I,
see a comedy explosion.
I would. I also would argue that comedies have actually been there. It's just that now they're getting folded into like Marvel, like all
Yeah.
of Marvel, all of these, even like Mission Impossible with like Simon Pegg, and like things are funny. Like there's a lot of comedy has just become really saturate, become part of the web of like our entertainment in a way that it used to sort of be like there were dramas and action movies and then like comedies, and they were very separate. But like there's a melding that happens, like Barbie, and like it's kind of that's kind of a comedy, but it's also kind of a kids movie, and it's also kind of a you know so uh,
There's something about R-rated comedy though that it's kind of more honest. It is that it's if you look at like PG-13 comedy, it is actually like more mannered and more controlled, and R-rated comedy, it's the things that people in the real world are talk about, or the places
Yeah,
that they let their, and it teaches you when you think back of your youth, it teaches you how to deal with these things that come up and how to think about the world in a way that just if you limit yourself, just feels false. You
it's true.
you
It's 100% true.
support the, one another thing I noticed about your about this and your comedy, Tom. You can be you manage to be edgy and transgressive and offensive and all that without being cruel ever. And like you're never picking on groups or punching down, I guess is what they say. I mean,
Mm,
you're punching down down at kind of morons,
yeah.
but not like group of people. Tell me about that,
Well, I
walking
mean,
that balance.
I think ultimately you know, you you write and you say things that you think are funny. Like I've never found like actual being cruel to be funny, you know.
Yeah.
I don't like somebody like being humiliated. Like that kind of stuff doesn't really, it doesn't do anything for me. So I just think that I say and I respond to things that I genuinely find funny, and I've always found inappropriate behavior funny. I've always found you know like just ridiculous scenarios, putting people in these crazy places, like you know the one with the toilet and the two guys. To me it's just like this, it's so absurd, and having them play it really real, it's just something that really makes me laugh. So those types of things are just funny to me. I don't know, it's always what's made me laugh. In stand up too, it's like, yeah, I like saying the honest thought about something, but I don't want to you know I'm not trying to like beat up somebody that can't, that's like an innocent bystander. That kind of stuff doesn't get me going. That's not what I'm looking to do.
Now, I have to ask you, in the in the podcasting world, which you're better, but you on other people's podcasts, do you bump up against people who don't don't get that line? Like I think you're.
Oh, well, I mean, stand up. Here's the thing. I also feel like there's almost like this adolescence you go through in stand up. And what I mean is, like, most of us who do stand up, we start in our early 20s. That's like typically where you start. And the truth is you're kind of a child in a way. And so if I look back on myself at that age, or even if I hang out or talk to comedians that are that age now, I find it's really easy to see that like they're much more reckless with what they say, right? And part of it is that I'm now a middle-aged guy, so you just register things differently. Sometimes they say things where you're like, Jesus, man. And I guess I look like an old lady in that conversation, but
Mm.
it's just because you're just kind of you just have a different perspective at this point, right? I was saying the same stupid reckless thing they were saying. And it's not that I don't think you should speak. I think speaking recklessly sometimes is very funny, right? But the thing is, there's a danger to it, because I mean that's why it's funny. It's usually impulsive, and you either say it kind of the right or wrong thing in the exact moment, and it's funny. But a moment later, or a degree off, and all of a sudden it's like, yeah, that's kind of like the give and take of being a funny person, is you're saying things sometimes without too much thought. So like, yeah, I have friends that are completely like just wild with what they say. But the truth is, I think you get your own adjustment for that. You know what I mean? Like you discover that if you're always saying the wild over the line thing, that you kind of are like, oh yeah, it's not that funny. It's just people are just like, oh my God. And that's not, I think if you're a comedian, you're looking for laughs more than you're looking for people going, Jesus, man, that was crazy. And that's just like an evolution that you go through.
What do you both think of social media and how much you use it, how much you look at it, how how much is it how much does it infect your lives?
I mean, it's a huge part of my what I consume. I don't post as much as I think I should for career wise. Like I know that when we went in, just in hiring process, and how so much of the business works now is like people go on to, they're like, oh, I like this guy, I follow him, he's funny, yeah, let's bring him on. Like that's how you see, if people don't have any social media presence, it's like almost a red flag. You're like, where's their social media presence? Like, I mean, that's how we all sort of relate now.
It's so true. I hate it and love it at the same time. I do think if I wasn't like doing what I do for a living, I'd probably be one of those guys with like a profile picture of like a squirrel or a boat or something, and some handle like X-Man 224, and I would just follow 1,000 accounts, but there's no way around it. It's a life suck and a time suck, but at the same time, it is where so many eyeballs are. And I think for what I do, you have to promote, you have to show people what you're doing. It's like for bad thoughts, I think it's been extremely huge for us. You know, People posting all about it, us reposting it, sharing detail. Like I just put up the blooper reel. Did all these like promo things with it that were very engaged with. So I think it's just a huge part of our life now.
If I could put a button in front of you, if I put a button in front of you right now and said, if you press this, you get to uninvent social media. Do you press it?
I don't, but
What do you think, Tub? I
It's
press
too
it
it's
in a heartbeat.
really
Yeah,
it's so addictive, man. I'm so
I know.
addicted.
That's why I'd press it. I can't stop looking at it myself. So
Well, you're gonna press that button for cocaine too?
I'll uninvent cocaine also. Yeah,
Oh my God, what are we doing here, man?
I won't invent sandwiches though, so
Okay,
that
that's
won't
fair.
do it for me.
Yeah, it's probably a better world. It's a better world if you press the button.
yeah.
Tom, we have to let you go in a sec, but our final question here that we always ask is what the young Jeremy, young Tom entering the business today, what advice do you give them?
Uh,
Run.
I think I would actually go off of what you were just saying, which is I would say fucking cultivate a great social media presence, because that is how you're going to get jobs more than almost anything else at this point.
I think my advice to young me would be to realize that I think everybody who does anything in this business, we operate a lot out of fear, and I would just encourage the young me or anybody starting out to like, man, just meet people, try things, go for things, and it does, like, fall flat on your face, it doesn't matter. Like, just keep trying, keep going up for to whether it's material on stage or writing something or like, hitting up your friends and being like, let's make this thing. I would just if I could go back, I would do it like 10 times more.
Thank you both. My final world is I have a 11, 13-year-old, and I think a lot about what they should watch, what they should not watch, and it comes down to me, for me to like where is this coming from? Is this show coming? Not what does it show, but does it show that coming from a good place or from a bad place? And I think you project some very bad thoughts, but coming from a very good place, uh,
Oh,
and
nice.
uh, and and I think that's the true test. Thank you guys so much for
That's very
joining
nice of
us.
you. Thank you. And let us know what your 11 and 13-year-old think of the show when they're done watching it, please.
My 13-year-old certainly has not seen it at all, as
Okay.
far as anyone knows, and certainly did not love it completely. So uh,
Okay. That's probably good to wait a few years. Probably
he
good.
he'll have he never looked at it at night after mom went to sleep.
Good.
Okay, thank you very much.
Appreciate
That's
you.
all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.